Okay, another brief thing I would like to share with you is practicing prospective memory skills. As you might have recalled from the Wake Back to Bed series, prospective memory really employs a kind of a skill in which you can recognize cues in the future. Something like doing groceries and reminding yourself that once you see the bananas, you also have to buy apples. A future-related memory task instead of a retrospective approach to memory. Really important because in that way you can recognize dream sites and say, okay, well, the next time when I again encounter that pink flying elephant, I will recognize that I'm dreaming. Well, that prospective memory skill or capability as a lucid dreamer is very important. So for a long time I was searching for exercises to really practice these skills by daytime. And well, because in that sense I could also train by daytime and not only do that in my lucid dreams, which was kind of a trial and error training program in that sense. So I've done two things. One of which you need an alarm clock. I use my iPod for that matter. And the trick is to set an alarm time, let's say 5 minutes or so. You can set different intervals, but I'm using this exercise in the context of wild, wake-initiated lucid dreaming, in which I would like to be recognizing or reminding myself of my prospective memory tasks in shorter intervals and shorter amounts of time instead of longer times when I use the wake back to bed technique. So let's say 3 minutes. You set your alarm clock 3 minutes later from now on, from this point out. And just a pretty loud alarm sound. You put it just in your bag or whatever you want, but on your body in that sense, and then you do your everyday things, most preferably in places where it's crowded or at a presentation or kind of circumstances that don't really allow you to turn off any alarm or turn on any alarm sounds, or that would be really annoying. So kind of a social pressure to really prevent that alarm clock from going off. So the trick is to be reminded of your task of turning off your alarm clock as close to the moment as what you've set of the time when it should be going off. And in that sense you can do this 10 or 20 times a day when you're just setting your alarm clock. Once it's 2 minutes, the next time it's 10 minutes, or it's more challenging to say, well, it's 20 minutes or 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. Because then you will see that in that 3 hours you must be reminding yourself constantly of, well, I know that I'm busy having my prospective tasks while I'm active participating at school or at work, or right. It's a kind of a back mind meta cognitive process where you're really involved in this prospective memory task, and it's a great way to exercise prospective memory skills. Because if you fail, well, then an alarm goes off, and well, on the first part, you know that you have failed in your prospective memory task, and you can try again. And on the other hand, it's really if you're in the right crowd or in the right circumstances, it's really annoying and you almost feel ashamed. So it's also kind of a motivational way, a very good motivational booster to really learn quickly. So this is an exercise that really worked for me. So just setting my alarm clock at random times, and well, first beginning with short intervals in terms of wild, which was more helpful to me, and then getting up to more challenged times or intervals in, well, prolonging those times and saying, okay, well, now 1 hour, now 2 hours, 3 hours. And you will see that you will gradually have a kind of incidental remindings, incidental moments where you're just reminding yourself, oh yeah, I was busy doing my prospective memory exercise, and it's a really good thing to do. Okay, well, and of course I had a combination lock. And I had this one just on my body, and it's not for locking anything up. It's just for counting how many times I've succeeded and how many times I've failed. So if you have 3 digits, something like, does the camera get what I'm doing here? Well, 3 digits, you can use 1 digit for your failures and the other 2 for your successes, or if you're really bad in your prospective memory skills, the other way around. and you can keep track of them, and even you can note them down when you're at home and just track down every day if you make any progress. So it's a really concrete, practical way to increase your perspective memory, which is also kind of fun. It's more fun even though if you do this with a buddy, with a friend, and really compare your results or training results in a more competitive way. Okay, well, another thing, that's the third thing that I do. This was my first watch. It's also, watches become very special to you, wristwatches. Well, this is the watch that I have now because, well, you integrate them in your dreams, and because you use them, because I'm using them for my reality checks, well, they become subtly integrated in my own dreams. So, well, this was my very first wristwatch, and well, I still can recall a lot of lucid dreams where I saw this watch in very different ways, so that's pretty fun to see. But this was actually a watch that I was using, and I'm showing you this because once you're doing a perspective memory task, and you just remind yourself of, oh yeah, I was busy trying to do this, preventing the alarm to go off, then do a reality check. So perform a reality check once you are reminding yourself in the process of, well, turning off your alarm clock before the very end of the time that when it's going off. So that's a pretty important thing to do. So you have your alarm clock thing. I use my iPod, you can use your phone of course. A combination lock to keep the score, to keep track of the score, and of course a wristwatch or something else that you can use to do a reality check. And if you combine those, you have a really good exercise of training yourself to become more proficient in perspective memory.